everybody, it's JT Sportsman at you guys with another video. This video I'm going to be talking about players the Indianapolis Colts should sign in free agency. Now the Indianapolis Colts have a lot of cap space, and the Indianapolis Colts, their needs, not that many. This is probably one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. Now, they could use offensive tackle because Anthony Costanzo is slated to be a free agent. Don't know if the Colts plan on bringing him back or not. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a viable replacement for him. This is one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. They probably could use another edge rusher because that's one thing that they're really lacking is a superstar pass rusher. Somebody who can dominate those one-on-one matchups. Now, Justin Houston did do pretty good, but they could use another one to complement him on the opposite side. And quarterback. Now, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, I don't really know what to think of it. Jacoby Brissett, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a bad quarterback. The thing with Jacoby Brissett is that sometimes he tends to play a little bit too conservative. I mean, at the start of the season, the first half, he had like a lot of touchdowns. And then in the second half of the season, he only threw about, 6 or 4 touchdowns in the second half of the season. And the big reason why I believe that was the cause was because T.Y. Hilton did miss a significant amount of time because he was battling an injury. I would know that because I had him on my fantasy football team. So I think if the Indianapolis Colts want to get another quarterback, bring in another veteran or somebody like that, I wouldn't be mad at them. But I also wouldn't be mad if they were decided to stick with Jacoby Brissett because, like I said, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a bad quarterback. I do think you can win a Super Bowl with Jacoby Brissett. I just think it's a matter of getting him more weapons and finding him another reliable wide receiver to complement T.Y. Hilton. So the first player that I think the Indianapolis Colts should go after is edge rusher Robert Quinn. Now, Robert Quinn had 11.5 sacks with the Dallas Cowboys last season. And Robert Quinn, he's probably going to demand a good salary, but not a big salary. Somebody like a guy like a Jadeveon Clowney probably would demand. And Robert Quinn, he is 30 years old, so the youth isn't there. But he fits in perfectly with what the Indianapolis Colts want. The Indianapolis Colts, when you look at their roster, they have a blend of veteran guys and a good blend of young guys as well. And I like that mixture. Most teams in the NFL, they either have a lot of young guys or a lot of old guys. So I really like that mix that the Indianapolis Colts have. I think edge rusher Robert Quinn would be a very good fit. Fits well in their defense. And also, even though this guy is in his 30s, he fits well into the Indianapolis Colts system. The Indianapolis Colts like guys with high IQ. That's what Robert Quinn has. He has a lot of experience, and he's proven, like he did last season, that he still is a guy who can give you double-digit sack seasons at this point in his career. Before I get into the next, make sure you guys like that video and subscribe to the channel because I upload NFL videos, XFL videos, and college football videos daily. And please hit the like button because when you hit that like button, it helps the channel grow. It helps the video rank higher in the YouTube analytics and things like that. So Jadeveon Clowney is the next guy that I have on this list. Now, Jadeveon Clowney had 21 tackles, 3 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles for the Seattle Seahawks last season. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably tired of seeing Jadeveon Clowney on these videos, but look, Jadeveon Clowney, if a team has money, like the Indianapolis Colts do, they should go after Jadeveon Clowney. He's the best defensive player and free agency this offseason. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, he can play in a 4-3, he can play in a 3-4. He can fit in either scheme. Now, I know a lot of his stats may not look impressive, but his stats don't reflect the impact that he had when he was playing for the Seattle Seahawks. Go back and watch that Philadelphia Eagles game when they played the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card. He was a man on a mission. He could not be stopped. And sometimes people tend to over-rely on stats to determine how good a player is. Stats don't reflect how good Jadeveon Clowney was last season for the Seattle Seahawks. When he was on the field, he was a really disruptive force. He was able to get pressure on the quarterback, although he didn't always get a lot of sacks. But you also look at the fumbles that he forced. He forced 4 forced fumbles as well. So, I mean, this guy is just a hellraiser on the defense side of the ball. And the Indianapolis Colts, they have a lot of cap space, so they should throw some big money at Jadeveon Clowney. Now, moving on to the offensive side of the ball. First offensive player that I have on this list, I have quarterback Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady, in my opinion, had one of his finest seasons as New England Patriots last year. Simply for the fact that he didn't have a lot of talent to work with. The wide receiving core wasn't really that good. Once they got rid of Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown had his problems going on, and they ended up getting rid of him as well. So other than Julian Edelman and James White, Tom Brady didn't have a lot of weapons. And I feel like a lot of people are criticizing Tom Brady a little bit too much and not looking at the job that he did, because when you look at Tom Brady, a guy his age, to do what he did last season, he literally carried the New England Patriots on his back and carried them into the playoffs. And that's something that I've never seen a guy do with his age. Most of the time we see guys his age getting carried by great defenses and great running games and things like that. But Tom Brady literally carried that New England Patriots team into the playoffs. Didn't have a lot of weapons at the wide receiver position. Basically what teams were doing was they would double in Julian Edelman and forcing Tom Brady to throw elsewhere. And unless James White was in the game, they didn't really have a lot of reliable pass catchers. So Tom Brady to the Indianapolis Colts, I think this will be a perfect fit. And the reason why is because, look, for those of you guys who want to make the argument of why would Tom Brady need to leave New England, he's won 6 Super Bowls there. You made the argument that Tom Brady is one of the most competitive guys to ever put on a football helmet. He hears what you guys are saying in the media. He sees the comments that you guys send him on Instagram and social media and things like that. And the narrative is that Tom Brady is a guy that is a system quarterback. He hears it. A lot of people say that Tom Brady wouldn't be nothing without Bill Belichick. And you can say the same thing about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, a lot of people say he wouldn't be nothing without Tom Brady. So Tom Brady is just as eager to prove that he can win without Bill Belichick and win with a different organization, just as much as Bill Belichick is eager to prove that he can win without Tom Brady and win with a different quarterback. So both of these guys have big egos, and ultimately if a deal doesn't get decided during the NFL Combine, Tom Brady most likely could end up moving on and playing for another team. And I think the perfect fit would be the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts, and they get another wide receiver to complement T.Y. Hilton. He'll have 2 weapons at his disposal. You also got Marlon Mack, who I told a lot of people last year would end up being a breakout player for the Indianapolis Colts, and he was. They have a great offensive line. The defense is really solid, and they have a great coaching staff as well. So you got the pieces around to help Tom Brady out. The next quarterback that I feel the Indianapolis Colts should sign, this would probably be a little bit more likely, would be Phillip Rivers. Now, Phillip Rivers, although he's coming off probably one of his worst seasons as a pro, the LA Chargers didn't really do him a lot of favors. This was an LA Chargers team that really stepped down from where they were season prior. And Phillip Rivers did have some bad performances, but Phillip Rivers has always been a guy that's always been able to bounce back from injury-plagued seasons or just terrible seasons based on poor performance. So I'm not really worried about Phillip Rivers and what he does next year. Although he is a little bit up there in age, he's a guy that always bounces back from having bad seasons. And I think playing for the Indianapolis Colts, I think this would be a great fit for him. Now, turnovers would be a problem, but one thing that I like about Phillip Rivers that you don't get from Jacoby Brissett is that Jacoby Brissett doesn't try to force the ball downfield at times, and I feel he takes he's a little bit too conservative at times. Phillip Rivers is a guy who doesn't hesitate to throw the ball into double coverage or throw the ball into tight windows. So I think a guy like Phillip Rivers will fit well with the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts have a lot more time to work with than what the LA Chargers do. And I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, look, the offensive line for the LA Chargers wasn't as good as what it should have been, at least what I expected. And Melvin Gordon was gone from the duration of the year, even though you do got Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is a good receiving back. He doesn't give you what Melvin Gordon gives you. And I mean, Phillip Rivers, man, maybe it was just time up for him to go ahead and depart and leave the LA area. So I think the Indianapolis Colts would be a great place for him. And maybe he just needs to change the scenery. A lot of quarterbacks, maybe they just need to change the scenery. I think that's what Phillip Rivers needed. Now, the last player that I think the Indianapolis Colts should go after is wide receiver Amari Cooper. Now, I think Amari Cooper is most likely going to end up being a free agent, simply for the fact that the Dallas Cowboys do have a lot of cap space, but they can't figure out how to sign their star players. They can't re-sign Sean Lee. They can't re-sign Byron Jones, and they can't figure out what they want to do with Dak Prescott. So that franchise tag is most likely going to end up going to Dak Prescott, and Amari Cooper is probably going to end up walking out and becoming a free agent. Now, he could go back to Dallas if Dallas is able to work out the deal, because they do have tons of cap space. I believe they have like $84 million. But the Indianapolis Colts, I think if Amari Cooper becomes a free agent, the Colts should hop all on over him, because Amari Cooper right now is in the prime of his career. He is a top 10 wide receiver, and giving him Jacoby Brissett, which I think Jacoby Brissett suffered from not having a lot of weapons when it came to the passing game, pairing him up with T.Y. Hilton, I think that would be a dangerous wide receiver duo. T.Y. Hilton, believe it or not, is a top 10 wide receiver, and he's probably the most underrated player in the NFL. Pairing him with a guy like Amari Cooper, I would really like to see that. So this is it for players I believe the Indianapolis Colts should target and NFL free agency. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.